So I'm going to actually call on the names of people who volunteer to present about something. And Esther, are you ready? You're muted. Let me.
Sorry. Yes, I'm ready. Anytime.
Thank you. And if you could just give a brief introduction of yourself, and then we're ready for your awesome lightning talk.
Oh, okay. So you want me to go first rather than Angela? Okay, that's fine.
Oh, sorry. You can see how nervous I am because Angela mentioned there's an impeachment hearing going on. I think my mind is kind of distracted. Sorry about that, everyone. So Angela, I understand you're going to be actually going first.
And now I'm muted. Can everybody see my screen? So I thought we would start off first by asking this question. What challenges or successes have you experienced in online instructions or using online tools so far? And if you go, let's see. So if you think about that for a minute or two, I will share a link to this. Let me move this over real quick. And I've lost my chat box. Oh, there it is. And so if you want to go to that link, you should be able to type in some of your thoughts. One of the things that we in the web committee love about Padlet is how interactive it can be and how easy it is to use it, to create an account and just get going. With the free account, you only get 3. So that's kind of a rough thing. When you start paying for it, I think about $100, no, more like $80 a year. That's when you get a lot more features and different things. You can create way more than 3, for example, and that sort of thing. But with this, it's, you create a question, you give it a title, and you can change, right here it says made with a stroke of good luck. You can change all of that. I've already started this, but I can always go in here to this little, I don't know if you saw it, but I don't know what it's called. But you can click on it to modify it. So you can change your title, you can change the description, you can add an icon if you want, and they have quite a few. So I don't know why it's not showing here, but you can pick smiley faces, you can pick sports items. So this is what it's supposed to look like, where you get choices. They've got food, they've got all different things. So you can pick one, go back. You can also change this and say something like, this is for the nutrition class I'm about to teach. And that'll make it easier for students to remember Padlet.com and then the whole address. You can always go in here and change the background. So they've got all sorts of different things like the solid colors. They've got gradients. So I can change it to that. Or I can obviously use these different textures. And I can also add my own by uploading photos that I've got on my computer. The other thing you can do is keep it light or dark. So if I were to add something, actually, let's save all this. Unless that's let's say that's my little post, I can always go in here and change the color. So that's what some of the dark ones look like. So a darker red, darker orange, dark green, blue, purple. If you like more of the pastel colors, if you click on this, oops. You get more of these kind of colors. So light yellow, lighter blue, lighter green. So that's one of the things you can do to personalize things. If we go back here, you can also say the newest posts come up top or go to the bottom. You can turn off comments or keep them on, as well as reactions. They've got grades, they've got stars, voting, liking. So if I do that, you'll see all of these hearts pop up and people can start clicking on the hearts to say, I really, really like this question or I really like this comment. You can also do stars and people can rate it. And eventually you'll see like 4 or 5 stars show up. Or if you're doing elections, you can also vote. So say you're doing something like an unconference and you have a bunch of topics in here and you want to see what people want to see presented at this unconference, this would be a really good way to find out. So if you have a lot more thumbs up on the topic, maybe that's the one that you choose to present on.
Angela, we do have a question from Tina. Let me see, is it Tina? She's asking if you use Padlet while also teaching via Zoom, and do you find students have trouble toggling between both? So
I do. I find people have the most trouble when they're using their cell phone or they're using a tablet, like an iPad or the Samsung tablets. So that's always a little bit tricky. I typically use this with students who are coming for sure with laptops at the very least, and then they can just open up a new tab and go to one of the LibGuides or go to something else. So they kind of toggle back and forth between the 2 tabs, but that's not too difficult. And with my campus, it is a little bit tough. We do have students who are on the lower end of the socioeconomic status, I think, and we have been loaning out a lot of laptops and Chromebooks, and we're offering a garage with Wi-Fi, but even still, I think students are having a little bit of time accessing the internet and that sort of thing. But in terms of the ones who are coming to the classes, I think most of them do have it. So do have both a computer and a Wi-Fi or internet somehow, and so they're able to participate. The other thing that you can do with this afterwards, you can also require approval. So if you don't want people to just be able to comment or post without you seeing it first, you can turn that on, and you can also turn on a filter for profanity. You can also turn on attribution so you can see who wrote. So if somebody is logged in to their Padlet account, it'll show something like this. This person or this organization wrote this post, where everybody else, it'll look like this. It just says anonymous. And I'm trying to find where, let's see.
and I love the comments you're always sending out in the Padlet.
And so the other thing that you can do if you click on these 3 buttons or those 3 dots, you can always come down here to modify, and you can come back here. Shoot, I didn't see it before. No, I'm sorry, it's change format. And so if you want to, right now we are using, I think it's the grid. It's either the grid or the wall. But if you wanted to, you can change it over to say like the map. And this can be really fun too. If you have a different kind of project where you're looking at fake news coming out of Poland, coming out of Japan, coming out of the United States. You can start clicking on these different places. And for example, you can do all sorts of things. If you add something, you can search for a place, for example. And you can look for, say, like videos. You go into Google, you have images, you can look for videos, you can look for GIFs. I'll just pick this one. And so you can install like a news item, what the news is coming out of this island here. And that's part of your Padlet now. And I've had students have fun with this, kind of go a little bit crazy with, a bunch of posts all over. And if you go to the very bottom, all of the posts that you had before aren't connected to a place, but all of the posts are still here. So nobody lost them. And let's see. This one, the back channel is kind of fun if, especially for questionnaires, you can post the questionnaire at the very top and then have people start to answer as the answers are coming in. It kind of starts floating up and you can see how people are responding. So this is another kind of fun little tool that Padlet offers. These are all the different things that you can do. You can add a bunch. One of the favorite tablets or Padlets that I found, if I go to, if you look at what Nicole has done with her anti-racism LibGuide, it's astonishingly, I mean, she's put so much work into this and it's beautiful. She's got text, she's got images that are linked to other spaces on the web. She's got videos, she's got audio, and she's got images. So this is, I think, a really good example of what you can do if you are working on something where there's a lot of information to disseminate. The other thing that I didn't realize you could do is you can embed it into a LibGuide. So you can create something really, really beautiful in a LibGuide or in a Padlet and then embed it in a LibGuide. So that was something I was kind of interested in finding out about recently.
Thank you, Angela. This is awesome. And I love also like the questions you ask in Padlet and people actually sharing their challenges and actually some of them give a name. I do want to read one of them. And this is one from Diane. Diane saying that students are getting bombarded with different tools at DAC. We do not have a set of standard tools. Our librarians do not always use the same tools. Our faculty don't always use the same tools. Definitely sense of community, sense of academic freedom is important, but it doesn't always serve students well. And sometimes it's very difficult to engage students, having to rely on lecture a lot more. Although recorded videos and tutorials are great, but time consuming, and they require a lot of maintenance to keep up with our changes this year. So I so hear you. I'm the online instruction coordinator at our library, and we recently changed the name of our library. So it took a lot of efforts just to do all the changes, clipping our videos, but same thing, like you said, like bombarded by all the tools. Like show and tells have been more about tools as we present it with different texts, but really at the end of the day, it will be for the students that we care about. It's really finding the tool for the job we want to do, not really finding like a job for the tool. That's one of our faculty developers said very well. Yeah, we're talking about tools today, but ultimately this is really to think more about the learning outcomes. Sometimes it's the best just to lecture or just to open up for a discussion without using any tool. So I totally agree with you. Thank you for, and there are a lot more thoughts in the Padlet. you're feel free to thumbs up others. And thank you, Diane, for responding to the chat. Yeah, so our session is really not just about showing off tools. It's really also to complain about many of the challenges of using it and just to support each other. Thank you, Angela. And I would like to open up for some questions. If you have more, you can unmute yourself or type in the chat. Any question for Angela? I know Padlet will be some tool that many of you are familiar with already. Any other comments? Oh, thank you everyone for saying thank you to Angela. Yeah, I actually used Padlet a lot before, but I actually did not know all of the tools that features that Angela showed today. So it's always good to see some other new things. Thank you, Angela. Okay, Esther, now it's your turn, and I will put the link in the chat when you're ready. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ding. How are you all doing? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. Well, in the next 10 minutes, that's what I have is 10 minutes, I'm going to be talking about and displaying the kinds of data collected from website visitors as a visual example of the commodification of personal information as part of the ACRL information has value frame. As an example of the importance of that frame, I'm going to be showing you Google Analytics, a free tool that collects information about visitors to websites. And I'll be using a site I created using Google Sites, which is another free tool. So how many of you have actually seen or used Google Analytics? You can just answer in the chat. Nobody. Oh, yes, somebody. Okay, a little. Okay. All right, well, you may or may not know that Google Analytics has been around for some time. In fact, they've been using it at the University of Minnesota's Health Sciences Library since 2005. And at least one study published in 2018 focuses on the use of Google Analytics and SpringShare data to improve the design of their LibGuides. So, but though you may be familiar with Google Analytics, I hope to add a bit to what you may already know about it. But a disclaimer here, I'm not a programmer, so I may not be able to answer any technical questions, but I have a big bibliography, well, 3 slides, in a slideshow I created as kind of a backup to this talk because I want to show you my site live and Google Analytics live. But you know how things often fail in technology just when you want to show them. So I have this backup slideshow, which I will share with you and will be put up on the LILi website after the session. So are you all ready to start? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and also Ding is going to put in the chat the URL for my website, which is called Teach Information Literacy and Critical Thinking. Well, this is the current version of it. I have to say it's not my favorite design, to say the least, but Google forced a redesign of all of its Google sites recently, and this was kind of the best template I could find among the ones they offered. Anyhow, it's a very big site, as I've put in here pretty much everything I created during my 41+ year career at UCLA and some things afterwards for anybody who wanted to use them for free. And by the way, that photo I took myself in Turkey. Anyway, but the question is, who is interested in this site? What are they looking at? How long do they spend on the site? Well, these are questions that businesses also ask about their own sites. And why do you think businesses want to know about this kind of information? And I'm trying to find the chat, but I don't see it. Okay, it must be behind this. So if there are points in the chat, Ding, could you read them?
Yes. I don't think so. No questions so far.
Question. Okay. Well, businesses want to optimize their site so they can keep people on it, of course. They want to sell them things and they want to find out as much as they can about those visitors, plus where they succeed and fail on their sites. And in libraries, we also want to know where people are succeeding or failing on our sites because we want to help them with their various information researching needs. So Google Analytics can provide some of these answers, but of course there's a privacy and confidentiality cost as the data Google collects resides on their servers. Now I'll just say that at University of Minnesota, according to a 2012 article by Loftus, they did make a few adjustments. They customized that data, so it kind of tried to anonymize it a bit. But it's a very important issue to keep in mind. So with this in mind, let's go see the Google Analytics site, if I can pull this down so I can get to it. Okay, so this is the Google Analytics site page for our site for my Teach Information Literacy and Critical Thinking website. This is the top area of this dashboard or home page. And especially important here is the bounce rate. The bounce rate, according to Google, is the percentage of all sessions on your site in which users only viewed a single page. So it's 80% during this time period, which is February 3rd to the 9th. Now, is that bad? Well, they stayed on the page at whatever average period of time of 41 seconds. And I'll tell you, that's a lot longer than it was yesterday. Yesterday's average was 9 seconds. But so is that bad? Well, maybe they weren't interested after all, or maybe they'll come back again later. For library sites, though, it could also mean the person has found the answer to their query and they left, they're satisfied, so they left. So, you know, we don't know. So let's scroll down and see what else is here. Well, also, by the way, there are 12 active users right now, which is interesting. Okay, next, how do you acquire users? Well, it looks like, to me, this dark blue is direct, and that means people came to it directly through the URL. They had the URL. And there are other options as well, including organic search. Now, I'm interested in where are the users? Well, US, Pakistan, Australia, Canada, Croatia. When do your users visit? Time of day, day of week. And then if you scroll down further, which pages do your users visit? Well, this is the top page, 38 people, and notice page value. Now, I don't want to get into the details of this, but basically you set a value for your goals, whatever they are for your site. And then Google will tell you, oh, you got $5 worth of your value. So money has to do with it, but this is not how much you're earning. It is whether you've achieved your goals. How are your active users trending over time? Do you have more? Do you have less? What are the devices they use? Most people are coming, at least in this time period, are coming in through their desktops, which is interesting. Not that many with mobiles, or nobody with tablets. And then how well do you retain users? And this goes back to December 27th. So over on the left too, there's a big column here of many other types of things that Google can collect, including real-time acquisition behavior, conversions. But most important, I think, for privacy and confidentiality is audience. And look at all of these possible choices. There's a category for demographics, which includes age and gender, Now, of course, I don't collect that kind of information, but a business might. They might have you fill out a form, and then in that form ask for your age and your gender, and then Google might be able to harvest that. Under geo, there's language and location. And if you go to location, you can not only see the country, which we'll come up with in a second, but you can also drill down to city if you're interested, or go up and look at continents and subcontinents. And it's just, you know, pretty intrusive in my opinion. But anyway, okay, then, whoops.
Esther, we do have a question. I'm not sure if you're going to cover that shortly, but Nicole is asking, what does the setup look like to institute Google Analytics for your site? So basically the setup part, if you want to cover that quickly.
This is the default, and you can customize it. I haven't customized anything. Everything is just the default. When you have a site, then you can sign up for Google Analytics. It's free. Because I've been using, let me get back to audience. I've been using Google Sites. It does it, and it's really easy. I don't know, I'm assuming that you can sign up for free for any site, but there may be a more premium level, I don't know, that you have to pay for. But hey, Google gets good data, so their advantage to want to do it. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. But one more thing, I know I only have 10 minutes. I wanted to show you users flow. Now, some of you may have already looked at web analytics for your LibGuides, where you see which pages people go to, which links they click on, and so on. This is Google Analytics, and it even tells you, okay, people from Pakistan, what were the landing pages? Which pages did they go to next? I mean, I'll tell you, I was pretty shocked when I looked at Google Analytics for the first time. I thought, oh my God, they're collecting everything. But anyway, so this is user flow. Now, I did want to say, this is a quick overview of the Google Analytics dashboard. I don't have a lot of time, so I don't want to get into anything else, but collection of all of this data does kind of take you aback, at least it did for me. And in an article by O'Brien et al., which you'll see in that bibliography, it was a 2018 article, they included user education related to online privacy as one of 5 recommendations they make for what libraries can do about this. I think they're right, but how do you do it? Well, it doesn't really have to take much time. I think you could just pose a few questions, mount a few slides, and you're welcome to use any from the slideshow I'm going to give you the URL for at the end, and just raise a little consciousness among people, your learners, as to what kinds of data businesses are collecting. And you know, it's pretty important also to tell them about browsers like DuckDuckGo or Brave, which is what I use, that block trackers. And Brave even tells you how many trackers they've blocked and how much time you've saved and so on. Anyway, so this is an overview of a free web analytic tool and the kinds of data it collects. And it offers an example of the commodification of information. I hope it's been useful as a visual illustration of the fact that information certainly does have value, as clearly stated in one of those ACRL frames, and that there are serious issues of privacy and confidentiality, and that we can and should address those issues, even if they're just briefly, just raising consciousness in our instruction. So please feel free to share any of my slides in the slideshow, and I will, if I can do it, stop sharing my screen now so I can look at the chat. And then thank you very much, Ding, for putting that in. And there's the URL to go directly to the slideshow. Any other questions?
Thank you, Heather. This is awesome. I love you're connecting this to the ACR frames and privacy confidentiality issues. That's really illuminating when we think about the tool. It's really think about the purpose we're serving. Thank you. Do we have more questions in the chat? Nico, I see you have a question. And Angela's kind of answering them already, but are there any more questions for Esther? Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for commenting our very quick presentation on Google Analytics. Okay, I'm now seeing more questions. Feel free to use slideshow. We're going to be posting the slideshow and the recording on our website too. And now we have Marcia.
Zane, did
Marcia.
anyone answer the question about whether anyone has something they want to share today?
No. Yeah, good question. Does anyone have another thing you want to share? It's really open show and tell. I know we cannot plan it when we ask for the question in the registration, but if you have something just comes up to your mind, even if it's just 1 minute or two, we'd love to hear from you. Anything? Any volunteers? Okay, while you're thinking, Marcia, why don't you go first? And if you have any, yeah, let me know.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's see. Thank you very much to both Angela and Esther. I enjoyed your presentations a lot. I have a tool that is somewhat new to me. It's put out by Zotero, which is an established product citation manager for years and years. Now, one of the things the students really need, but somehow I didn't put that in, is a citation manager, or that I don't know that they need a citation manager, but they have to cite. In my field, I work with students who use APA Style 7. So I'm mostly interested in tools that do a good job for APA 7 right now. That's the current one. Now, I have been using for years and years EndNote Web. That has been used by my professors, and they were very interested when we had access to the free tool EndNote Web. There have been, and I have taught that for years and years, there have been some problems for some students because it requires a lot. You have to establish an account. They often forget their login for it. That there have been different issues that have come up. Sometimes they don't use Word, and the plugin for Cite While You Write still requires Microsoft Word. So there are several reasons why some of the students haven't used it. Now, I have it built in. The idea of using a citation is built into 2 departments I work with, and that's the Communication Disorders and Sciences Department and the Nursing Department more recently. Also offers time to get students started using EndNote Web. So, but I have come across this other tool, and I'm sharing that. I think I am sharing Zotero Bib with you. Is everyone able to see Zotero Bib on the screen?
Yes.
Did I do that correctly? Oh, good. I'm glad. So the URL is zbib.org. And behind it's a open web platform. You do not have to sign up for an account at all. This is related. I'm using the Chrome browser, and it automatically saves whatever you've done to your browser, somewhere in your browser. And I will not be able to explain that more fully. Before I go further, is there anybody in the audience who has been using Zotero Bib at all? You can put it in the chat, or please unmute yourself and speak up. I would like to know if I have some people in the audience who have had some experience with it already? Is anyone answering? Let's see, I hate to open up too many windows because
I can read them for you. Not yet. And Jenny's saying I've used it for personal stuff, but not for teaching. Angela says she's used it for grad classes. Kristen saying no. I think most people haven't used it. I personally use it for like both purposes, but only the standalone version, not really the web version. So it's also new to me. And Nicole is saying she's happy to learn more about this. Oh, Hillary is saying she started to recommending it since students like EasyBib, but EasyBib doesn't do APA for free. Good point. That's just such a great selling point for, especially for health sciences for us.
what did she say about free? I'm sorry.
Hillary says EasyBib, so another tool that's very popular among students. They can use it for free. It's a web version, but it doesn't do APA for free. So
No,
Zotero is great.
Oh yeah, Zotero is free, yes. But there was something else someone used. Okay, I'll look at that a little bit later after this session. Well, this is Zotero Bib, and what I like about it, one of the things I like about it, it works really well with numbers. It doesn't, I haven't found it effective with titles, or I haven't mastered it well enough to put enough of the title. So I don't recommend the keywords necessarily, but the PubMed PMIDs, you can easily display that in a PubMed search. And it does, I found that it does a better job than the suggestion that PubMed may have. Though PubMed's suggestions for APA style are pretty good also, but it's, I think Zotero is better. Now, if you'll notice, they also have a manual entry. I find the display very easy to read. The copy and pasted DOI, but usually the problem is the student might be looking for the DOI. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. This is the bibliography that just popped up below that I have been looking at recently. So I'll just probably delete all, grab one of the DOIs and show you how that works, just to get rid of it. But there are, they have behind this all the choices that Zotero, the full-fledged citation manager, has. So you can get to all their styles. So that is an incredible, and I haven't tested them because right now the students I work pretty much use APA. And what I like about this is that when you set it to APA 7, it automatically corrects for sentence, the sentence style. So all the extra capitalizations that drift into a lot of the suggestions made by our different databases, it turns that around. It puts everything into lowercase. It does know how to capitalize the first letter of the first word after the subtitle, but you do have to do some editing. But all of that is very, very easy to do. Now this is, I have made some corrections for some of them, and this is over the days that I've been working with it. Well, so I'm just going to grab I'm going to grab one of these and show you how it works. Well, if I scroll down this is what it's caught, automatically caught without me doing anything. And it tells you where you get it from. I just want to grab that and do that again, delete all, and talk about that. If I can do this, I'm not sure what there. I'm going to copy it. Okay, and there I haven't experimented with this, but there may be a possibility of even having it do a annotated bibliography, and I'm not sure whether you would put it under extra or abstract, but they give a little extra room for some of the other possibilities in students' assignments. So I'm going to just delete all of these. But one more thing that it also allows you to do, which is why I like this tool and why I have been I just started using it in the classroom instruction, but where it says copy to clipboard, you can also download the citation, and after you've corrected it with this very large print, easy to read screen, you can download it as an RIS file. And you can also, as an RTF file, that might easily open Word for you. It's an RTF file so that it could go right into your word processor. So all those are possibility. The download RIS file is handy because if it's corrected most of the sentence case problems, you can just demonstrate, because I have had like 20 years or at least 10 years of working with EndNote Web, which is now EndNote Basic, I have to show that section how you can import an RIS file. And that this is a good helper aid for working with the EndNote Web program. It also could solve the problem of the students, for one reason or another, who do not want to register for a new account, don't have the word processor or a current enough word processor. It does a lot for them to get a good handle on having a good bibliography. Okay, so it's a very long page, and they have good help too. They also have the possibility of saving this as a URL, and they do. I've forgotten the rules about how many months they keep. It's a generous amount of time, but if you did a bibliography for this class and you don't know if you're ever going to use it again, if you want to save a link to it just in case, you can be sure to provide the URL to yourself. It's not like a permanent account, and I'm not saying it's better than using a few. It's not better than the citation manager, as far as I can tell. You could either, sign up for your own Zotero account, or you definitely use it with EndNote Basic, EndNote Web, at the way I showed you, especially with the RIS file. Okay, so I'm going to delete all this. I think I didn't create. I could create link before I deleted. I could link to this I could say link to this version, copy the URL for this. I could view the URL for it, copy it to however I want to keep track of it, but I've got that. That is more or less, and they always remind you can edit the bibliography, which I think is kind of cool. There's some extra reminders built in with this tool that EndNote doesn't quite work that way. It's just me, the instructor, saying them, remember, before you start your paper, please, oh please, make sure you've gotten it as correct as possible. So that is where I'm going to go back. And now, let's see, I haven't quite deleted this. I have an extra URL, which I haven't really, I want to say delete all. And so it's reminding me, you're going to delete it now. It's not going to be in your Chrome browser, when that's what I wanted. I want a fresh bibliography. And I'm using one of the URLs I already used, but I don't remember if I had to fix it. So here is where I've copied and pasted that. Oh no, this is the one that I want to get back to. I didn't get that. I lost my sorry. I think what I'll do is open up another window to PubMed and go in and start again. Is that okay with everybody? PubMed.
Definitely. Thank you.
Oh, is it showing that I've opened up another window? Yes. Am I now in PubMed?
Yes, we can see your PubMed.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to look for one of our nursing professors, Marianne Hatar. And let's see. And then if I'm sorry, I have to move some of the Zoom things out of the way. So if I want to display this, send to save, let's see, I'm going to look at the record first. And this already, as you can see, may go in with, it's not bad, everything is lowercase, and that hasn't been the case all the time. We might double check what the students can get, but you know, if my students use this a lot, but they have this extra possibility that the students can miss it, even though we do practice that a little bit in class, just so that they know that they have to get to the APA style. And if you take a look at this, global health, it didn't correct that capital, which is just one, but a lot of them traditionally has done a lot, but otherwise it's done a pretty great job for them. But well, let's see what Zotero will do for it. So I've got this citation, and I want to change my display options. And I think I just want the PMID displayed. I could have looked for it just on the list there, but I'm going to get that PMID, and then I'm going to go back into Zotero Bib. That's not the right one that I want. Because I should have closed that. I'm closing my fancy Padlet. I really appreciated all that. Zotero Bib. Okay, so back here, there's nothing under here. It's a clean slate. And then I'm going to copy and paste. I hope I got rid of that. Copy and paste the PMID. And let's see if it did just that minor correction. And noticed it did. It corrected for that, and it got the subtitle just right. But it will end up doing the whole, you know, if there were too many capitalizations, it will lowercase it. And I find that very helpful. Now, so there it is. I don't think I have to edit it, but if I want to look it over again, you can look it over again. I think it's, you know, all these extra different authors could be confusing. I think they do a wonderful job listing it. And it has the abstract there for them, the PMID, all that went in, which they don't really need. But I think the display is much easier for people to work with, for our students to work with. Now, and it drops it down into the bibliography. I already have it set for APA, but it would have done a different job if I had set it for something else. If somebody wants me to change that, or if they're following along on their own, they can experiment with the different. Yeah. Please do that. It's very simple. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, it looks like people really like the tool, and I just want to read 2 comments from Hillary and Jenny, how they are using it to check formatting for citation when they're not sure about, and it's very helpful when a student doesn't really need a citation manager, but they need a more in-between option for citation. So this is really helpful. Thank you, Marcia.
Okay, thank you. If you think that's enough, that'll be fine. There are some other features, but that's okay. And I could prepare a brief slideshow you can put up, but I have something started. Okay, later. Do you want me to speak a little bit more, or no? That's enough. That's fine. Thank you.
Do we have questions for Marcia? I sorry to cut you off a little bit. We do. Oh, okay. Thank you. People are thanking you for showing this very useful tool. It's very new to us. I use Zotero every day as a standalone version. I have no idea of this website version. So thank you. This is great. We do have another volunteer to present. Let me see. I think Alyssa, are you still here? Thank you for.
I'm here.
Great, thank you. So, sorry, we do not have like 10 minutes for you, but if you want to just show us very quickly the free tool.
Sure, that's fine. I put a link in the chat box. So I don't know if people have used Google Jamboard before. So I can show that. Let's see.
Thank you. And I know it's a free tool, so thank you.
Yeah, it's part of the Google's I guess the Google Suite. So when you log into Google, what you do is go to the little dots here for the Google Apps, and then just scroll down until you see Jamboard.
Do you mind sharing your screen, if possible?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me see.
Alyssa, are you able to?
Well,
I see if you are a co-host or.
Yeah, I enabled that
Oh, you
already.
did?
Could you? Yeah.
Perfect.
so are you seeing my screen now?
Marsha, do
Marsha?
you mind stop?
Can I
do you mind
stop sharing? Is that it? Am I
Please.
interfering? Let me see. I'll stop share. I'm sorry, I didn't.
No.
I was having
No, it's
trouble.
okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
So
Thank you.
when you log into your, whatever Google app you're using, you can click on the dots here and scroll down, and you can see Jamboard. So if you already have a Google account, you have Google Jamboard, and it's free. So this is what my dashboard looks like, and I sent you a link to this page right here. So I did this for sophomores and juniors who have already had library instruction probably at least twice before they took this class. And what they can do is they can write on this, they could do a sticky note. So I was asking them, where do they start their research? And, they did Post-it notes or text boxes. They can add images or pictures. So this is what it looked like for that class. I was surprised how many of them like to draw. A lot of them said, they like our OneSearch Plus, they use Google Scholar. One of them wrote research consultation. Someone put a star on it, and another person asked, what is this? And I wrote a note afterwards explaining what our research consultations were. So it's just kind of a fun way to ask open-ended questions for brainstorming, or so for example, I asked them another question: what library databases do you use or have you used before? Later on, we did brainstorming for keywords. And so this group, they all had the same topic and they were all working together. So I decided to go ahead and brainstorm keywords all together. And so I wrote the keywords at the top, and then they came up with some synonyms. So it was kind of a fun, interactive way to engage a group. So basically, Google Jamboard, I forgot to mention, it's an interactive whiteboard. The problem I have is on Zoom, I'm always a guest. So I don't use the Zoom whiteboard feature, and I don't even use the Zoom polling feature because I'm always a guest. So I like Google Jamboard because you can prepare ahead of time. And this one was okay, not my favorite. We were trying to figure out which LibGuides would work for their topic. I thought this one worked out pretty well. I asked them what search tips do they have for their peers? What challenges did you experience? And the students actually wrote really good answers. I did have, a silly one, but, if they write something that's inappropriate or you don't like it, you can click on the eraser here and, you can just start erasing it. And you can delete some of the Post-its. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. And then I asked them if they like the Google Jamboard, and they gave me some feedback. This was a really enthusiastic bunch. This is what it looked like beforehand. If you notice, I have some of these images here at the bottom. Those are not available in the desktop version. I had to download the Google Jamboard app for the iPad. So if you do the iPad app, there's more options for images and pictures. And I think that's all I have time for. Sorry, it's 11:01.
No, it's awesome. Thank you. We just have a quick question from Lauren. How did you put the note from the librarian? So you showed in the beginning. You had a
Oh,
note.
yeah. Well, it's let me see for the Jamboard.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? This one I closed it, but you can go over here, or actually you can go to the share and reactivate it for other people to use. But I just went on here, and this is an image that I got from the iPad app. So it's not available on the desktop version, but I added this. I put a text box over it and I typed in it. And then I added a text box here. So I've got an image and then I've got a text box in the image.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, if you feel comfortable, let us know if there's one Jamboard you're comfortable with sharing with us. Looks like Angela is asking if we want to use it for other classes. But let us know. We can talk more offline of what you want to share. I think this is awesome. It's the first time I heard of it.
Sure. And I went bananas on this one. When I did it again for another class, I only did what databases have you used before, and we did keywords. So it was a 2-slide. This one had quite a few.
Thank you. This is awesome.
And I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Alyssa, and to come up with this idea on this file and giving us a great lightning presentation. Do we have more questions for Alyssa? Or I know it's time, but if you have something more to share, we can actually do another round of it, open show and tell. Or if you want to present for the whole 30 minutes, if you just let us know. We're gonna follow up with the recording, with our links. I think that's all for today. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to our presenters, Marcia, Esther, Angela. I learned a lot. Thank you.
Right.
And thank you everyone for coming. Bye. Have a nice day.
I think that you want to talk a little bit after.
Yeah, I'll be here. Hillary, thank you. I'm gonna highlight your comment on our website. Hillary saying this has been a real bright spot in the dark time. Thank you.
That's a nice comment.
Yeah. I think it's just the 4 of us. Harry, are you still here? Oh.
Looks like same man left.
Yeah, but Harry, are you? Think so. If you do not mind, if you're still here listening, I'm gonna kick you off so I can tell Angela a secret.
I think he was logged in twice.
Oh,
and there's like one active one, and maybe this is, I don't know.
Okay,
it's okay to remove him.
Yeah, I'm gonna
feel so guilty doing that
in the waiting room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so I guess
Shannon. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll admit her. Oh no, not. Shoot.
Please the restroom. I'll be right back. Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Hi, Angela. Should I wait or should I leave? Or are we going to talk about the session?
We can.
Or it's okay. I can just leave. I just got confused.
Yeah, no, I think we'll maybe do a little bit of the briefing.
Okay.
Tomorrow
we'll have a meeting?
I think so. Okay. I should check my calendar actually. No. America is like so crazy right now that it's almost like, have you ever heard of ADHD?
No, what is this?
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So often like the stereotype that people have in their heads is like people who are like really bouncy, like they're jittery, like they can't sit still and like pay attention.
Yeah.
And then there's also like the calmer version where like the brain is just like overloaded, like too much information is coming in. And that's what I feel like. There's like the impeachment, there's like commentary, there's like analysis, there's like, like 100 things coming from like the impeachment. hearings.
Yeah.
But then there's also, like faculty and students and like other people like with questions. And
Oh
it's
my
like ADHD, like what can I focus on? Just like this one task right now. Like I can't because I have these other, I don't know, emails to answer.
Yeah.
But I think Dean, you're back. Is there a meeting tomorrow? Or was that just last
I
week?
think that's actually next week. So because we pushed back the session for a week, that made our meetings so are not going to be right after the session. It will be actually next week. But do you want to talk about the 17th session? Is that?
Yeah. So I don't know what to say. Part of it is part of it is so we we emailed him to confirm, and I don't know like you don't know like what's going on in somebody's life, right? I don't know if he just got super busy like with another presentation because he's a postdoc. So as a postdoc, it's not quite like you're a graduate student, but you're not like a tenure track faculty member. Like you still have a lot of people who sort of have a lot of control over you, and you're still doing a lot of work for faculty, right? In addition to your own research and your own work, including like looking for jobs. So it may just be that he's super busy and he hasn't gone back, but he'll show up on Wednesday.
What? So there's a chance he might not show up, but there's a chance he might show up.
Like, part of me feels like if he responds and says like, yes, I'm there, totally. Like, yeah, he's going to be there. But he also didn't say, no, I can't. Sorry, I don't know what this is about. Goodbye. Like, he didn't say that. So I feel like if I say, yes, he's going to be there, that's like jinxing it. Like, my superstitious mind is like, that's going to jinx it. And that's like, I'm going to have 100 librarians here and he's not going to show up. Right. But if I say he's not coming, he's going to show up. And then I'm not going to have an audience. So I don't know quite what to do. My colleague is sending him an email again today. Just to check in with him to see if like, nudge, nudge, like you got an email on Sunday, like what's up, But at the same time, like, I don't want to say like event tomorrow, show up. And I don't know how many people are going to be able to do that. But at this point, I feel like there's so little time between like even today and the 17th. We could create like a website for like after, maybe. I didn't get permission from him to record anything, so I don't know that we'll have that, archive, that kind of like archival material to show people after the fact, but it could just be a website that shows like we had this guest and here's more information about him. If he's willing to share like his slides, we can post that.
Yeah, well, I'm always working on the weekend. So if you need anything like on Monday, I think we can still promote this because I would hate if he will present, but there are only like 10 participants.
Right, or like just even me and Donnie.
Right. Although I love the topic, so I would love to have a more intimate environment with just me and him.
That would be
because
awesome.
I'm gonna do right. But I want him to have more audience. So
yeah.
Well, I did say I'm swamped this week, but I also hate that we do not have a lot of audience for him. So let me know. Just email him. I'm always checking my email on the weekend.
Okay.
And yeah.
And yeah, I'm also happy to blast, like Aisha and Eva, they seem to be very connected, like with we here with LIS and POC and LIS in LA, like these different groups. They can blast those. I can do the community college. Jonathan's got another listserv. I don't know if you can blast the Cal States.
I do not have such a listserv, but I'll definitely tell my colleagues and they can share around.
Carl and
I noticed, Shama, you've been posting things on LinkedIn. That will be another venue because this is a very, I would say, a topic that will be of broad interest. And thank you, Shama, for the survey feedback you just sent me this morning. I noticed a lot of people actually got the information from Facebook, from Esther's. They said Esther's email. I do not know what that is about, but I think with the few of us, we should be able to reach to more. Yeah, just a confirmation is all we need from him, like description, picture, if you want to
so
get it
I
from
have
him.
a flyer already based on the
Oh,
conversations
okay.
that we've had. So Donnie created one.
Okay,
I
so it's
created one
just
and then he like beautified it. He's
Great.
got more of an eye for design, so that's ready to go. So yeah.
okay, just a confirmation. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so stressful. But thank you for thinking about LILi. Is there any reason we couldn't do it with your institution? Was it a lot of pushbacks on the topics, or
The topic was a little too radical.
I thought it was about activism. Why is it radical? I thought it's more like
because it's
a
activism. People are activists.
What?
Like,
I
you
thought
know,
it's more
people,
from
when they
a-
think activism, they think of like Black Lives Matter. You know, they think of like Angela Davis and like the Black Panthers.
So is this gonna be a workshop? Because I thought if it's more like a scholarly discussion, right?
But he's
then
also like a more liberal human being.
I see. Is he
and-
like controversial at all?
No.
Because interesting.
He's controversial only to Trump supporters who
Okay.
don't want to think about race, who don't want to think about, I don't know if you watched like Dear White Counselor or if you've watched the Black Bruins, but we've shown those on our campuses for trainings, cultural sensitivity trainings, and people like their brains
Okay, let me
exploded.
watch those things. Interesting.
They just saw like a very, very angry, hostile Black man.
Okay.
Because he was talking about his own experience, being counseled by a white counselor who didn't believe in him and who wanted to send him to like, I don't know, Cal State Dominguez Hills, right? Like, don't bother with like UCLA or Berkeley or wherever. They invested more like into sports with Black students than with academics. And he was simply like, a lot of us thought he was pointing it out. Like, this is a problem. And look at where I am here today. I didn't have a counselor who believed in me. I went around her and I got to UCLA. I got to the University of Pennsylvania. I got to USC. I got this PhD, you know, like she didn't believe in me, but I clearly had the abilities that she didn't see in me is like the point of the movie. And
oh my God, I want to watch that. Okay.
yeah,
Now.
and he, a lot of the people were like, he's attacking white people. I'm not racist.
Okay.
I'm not racist. I'm doing the best I can. I treat Black people the same as white people. I don't see color.
But
A lot of microaggressive comments came out. So I think it's more that as the more
I
the
see.
white fragility than him being controversial.
And it is supposed to be controversial. We are supposed to be uncomfortable. That's the whole point of it. And
Yeah.
and
but
people do not get
just
that.
have the privilege of not being comfortable.
Keeping in the school. Shaman,
Yeah.
sorry, we've been talking about American politics
Oh,
for
wow. Actually, I know I'm so excited to hear about the other cultures, and even to be honest, in Egypt we have all the colors.